Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Story number 1. The Gods Learned Fear. Written by Mercury the Dealer. The first thing the gods learned was curiosity. They wandered the great clouds of gas that would one day be called the universe, and asked themselves many questions. What were they? What was their purpose? What was this place? Eventually, after wandering, they found the mistress. She told them that they were gods, and that this was the universe. She told them that her purpose was to punish things called mortals, and that their purpose was to control the material plane. A few asked more questions. They wished to know what came before them and what came after. They wished to know the true meaning of the universe. The mistress whispered her knowledge to these few, and they broke under the stress of knowing that even they, the most powerful beings in the material plane, were nothing compared to entropy. The gods learned something new. Respect. Respect for the mistress and her wisdom, that is. The gods respected the knowledge that the mistress gave, made things. Suns forced their cores into fusion, planets compacted themselves under gravity, asteroid fields dutifully took their place amongst the many solar systems of the forming galaxies. The gods spent millions, perhaps billions of years mesmerized by the beauty of the universe and its creation. And then something new happened. A god made a rock that moved. It was not elegant by any means. The rock was just a piece of granite that had been infused with divine energy to make it react to its environment. If touched, it moved away. If not, then it just wandered through our lifeless fields of its planet. The gods were thrilled to see this rock. Sure, suns and asteroids moved faster and were prettier, but they were tied to the universal laws, while the rock seemed to move randomly. The gods learned a new thing for the third time: envy. They envied the creator of the rock for having control over it. The envy made them make their own rocks. Some were granite, others were obsidian, and a few were marble. Groups sprouted all throughout the universe as gods shed rocks. Some liked to see the rocks hit each other. Others wanted the rocks to interact with the planet. A few just gave the rocks the ability to make new rocks and watched as they multiplied and bumped into each other. Each group wanted the others to play with the rocks as they did, not out of malice, but because they truly believed that their method was the best one. And they would teach their brothers and sisters about the right way by any means necessary. In a twisted way, the gods wished to see each other happy, gave them the fourth lesson: tribalism. They kept changing the rocks again and again. Someone discovered that they could make the rocks that moved with energy of the sun and not from the gods, which allowed for even more rocks to be kept. Another realized that instead of making every rock use the energy of the sun, they could instead make a few motionless rocks that collected that energy, so that the moving ones could harness it later. Lastly, someone realized that the rocks were heavy and chunky, so they made a compost called flesh that was much easier to work with. Sure, they needed things like air and water to live, but the new plants could handle it fine. The planets were given true life for the first time. Animals and plants competed for energy. The oceans and skies were filled with strange creatures, which would be unimaginable during the age of rock. Things were interesting again. But the gods still did not budge on their ways of playing with their new animals. Seeing that the others would not see reason, the gods of knowledge made their magnum opus, a sapient species. It talked, it built, it ate, it slept, and above all, it worshipped. The worship of the first mortals gave them all of the thing that now ate their minds like a parasite that gave them another lesson: megalomania. The gods of war made their own mortals and gave them strength and speed. The gods of knowledge blessed their children with wisdom and control over the resources of their worlds. The gods of lust gave their creations the ability to feel pleasure and happiness, and taught them how to spread said happiness to others. The three groups realized something. If they got the mortals of the others to join them, they would be worshipped more. The gods whispered in the ears of mortals and taught them how to leave their planets and explore the stars. They taught them the miracles of asteroid mining and, eventually, told them that others would try and take these luxuries from them. The gods expected war. Like a self-fulfilling prophecy, they got war. The divine game was on. In a distant system, one planet hit another. Both planets cracked and reformed, though one of them became a moon. The new planet was hit by a greater shower of ice-rich asteroids that filled its atmosphere with steam. The planet cooled, and the steam became great oceans. From the ocean, life emerged. It was miserable and delicate, but soon it became complex and adaptable. The life rose from the depths and into the land. Great forests appeared, and those are soon filled with all manner of life. Life that would go extinct numerous times, only to emerge stronger. There, as the gods played their game, a sapient species appeared. It was naked, afraid, and had a thirst for death. The people had no gods to guide them. They had no help on how to survive. The only thing that they had close to a god was the mistress, which they all only met in hell. They lacked gods, and so they made their own. The cut of the sword, the bite of the musket, the crack of the artillery, those were their gods of war. The curiosity of a child, the wisdom of an elder, the adaptation of an engineer, those were their gods of knowledge. The desire of the lonely, the greed of the wealthy, the megalomania of the rulers, those were the gods of lust. The people, the humans, rose from the planet not with a ship tailor-made by a god, but one of their own design, fueled by their will to explore and their spite towards a universe that had tried to hardest to kill them, and that they, much like the insane gods, knew would one day fall to entropy. The gods found the humans only a year after they had discovered FTL, mostly because no one had ever done such a thing without the help of divine energy. The gods of war were shocked at the human strength. The gods of knowledge were ecstatic at the scientific achievements. The gods of lust salivated at humanity's luxuries and art. No one could agree about who would get the humans, so they declared war on each other and on the humans to see who would get the godless species. The gods clashed and destroyed each other's worlds, and the mortals with more and more vigor. Eventually, it became clear that the Great War was too expensive, and so most gods licked their wounds while ordering the weaker ones to get whatever piece of humanity they could. The divine fleets entered the now much larger human territory and never left. The gods called their brothers to come back soon, that they were worried. In response, 3 gigantic fleets appeared, each turned towards the domain of one group of gods. In the flagship of each fleet, the corpses of their brothers and sisters hung like sick trophies. The gods of war, knowledge, and lust were no more. The divisions and infighting were gone, replaced by the universal hate that they felt towards the humans. The gods fought with less strength and numbers. They wept for their fallen and soon joined them. They sent their devoted followers into suicide attacks that they knew would never work. They soon became new pieces of the ship's hulls. They asked the mistress for protection, only to find that the godless monsters had colonized hell. Their pride was gone. Their thirst for power was gone. All the gods wanted was to live for just a bit longer. It didn't matter. As the last of the gods perished under the fire of human weapons, they all learned one new feeling. Fear. It was the last thing that they ever learned. End of story. Story number 2. Some Wings, written by Satoshi. The starships that soar out from the kingdom of Sol never fail to impress me. Yesterday's tradership was no exception. "Hello, Captain," I said to the human as she stood near the landing pad. "I was just admiring your fine vessel when something about it grabbed my interest." "Oh yeah?" she asked, turning with an amicable grin. Yes, I was wondering about those, wings. That set of wing-like protrusions on the dorsal side. I've never seen something like that. Is it some new kind of shield generator?" The captain shook her head. Good guess, though." "Oh, do the wings aid in atmospheric flight?" "Nah, actually, it would probably be better in Atmo without them." "Is that so? Is it some kind of weapon, then?" "Nope." Heat radiators, solar panels, warp nacelles." "None of the above." I stared at her, confused. "Then, what is the purpose?" She regarded the ship and smiled again. "Looks cool." End of story. The algorithm reckons you should be watching this video next, and I recommend that you should be always watching my video. So, click with energy! And yes, clicking that does help the channel. Thank you very much. I just want to give a quick thanks to the Tier 5 patrons and channel members: Alithia, Barky, Fudic Yol, Cam Maxwell, Caspar Arnholtz, White Van 420, Lord Asrakal, Arcalian, and Oakfield.